New Year, same old creative. I'm John Rentham with my review of WWE Smackdown. It starts off with an in memory of Luke Harper graphic taken from everybody, but especially his wife and his children all too soon. And honestly, it's just fucking terrible. I hope they're taken care of for life. Apparently, WWE is going to put a special on their network. I imagine featuring interview pieces from various people that worked with him over the years, and that's great. Honoring the memory and the legacy of, a tremendous worker, but also a tremendous family man. And Luke Harper, Brody Lee, whatever you want to call him by, rest in peace. Again, taken all too soon. Heart and thoughts go out to his family and his colleagues, so many people that were affected. But now, to start the review proper, this show is pretty goddamn basic. There were a few decent moments, but this felt very much like a by-the-number SmackDown. I don't expect landmark shows every single week, but after, last week's pretty damn good taped edition for Christmas, yeah, they were going to come down from it. I just didn't think that they were going to fall down about 80 flights of stairs. So we have recasts of Owens being relentlessly pounded by two Samoan cousins in Tampa Bay, news at 11. And then we have Reigns, Jay, and Heyman in the ring. Reigns talking, doing the usual stuff. One thing they have to do, turn down the crowd noise. Turn down the crowd noise, because if Reigns is going to talk in a normal tone, he's been cutting great promos. He has. Because they've allowed him to not, be so scripted and go out there and just cut loose. And yes, he's probably auditioning to go to Hollywood eventually, and he will succeed there pretty damn well, because I really don't think he's going to be wrestling too much longer, a couple more years, but I digress. They got to turn down the crowd noise, because you can't hear a lot of the promos. It's one thing to have just a little bit of noise for atmosphere and everything, and I get it. We're supposed to boo the heels. The problem is, they're finally letting Roman Reigns be what he should have been about 5 fucking years ago, so you can't help but admire him. Now, he's doing everything he can to be a hated heel. Had they done this 5 years ago, he probably would have been cheered like mad now. But it is what it is. He's cutting a great promo, talking about how Jay, stepped his game up, acknowledged him. Now he's in the main event. And how Reigns and Heyman have done great, and it's been a rough 2020, but that they're going to succeed in 2021. Then Owens is here, and Reigns immediately cuts him down. No one wants to see you here. I put you on the island of relevancy. I gave your family a great Christmas. You got to be in the ring with me in 2 top-tier matches. Well, he didn't exactly say that, but that was the implication. And then Owens basically says, well, the big dog is long gone, and, he's just a little bitch. Okay, he's replaced by a little bitch. That was a pretty good line there. He wants to face Jay. This feud will probably never end. Actually, I think it'll end at the Royal Rumble, but honestly, they're doing the best they can to juice this thing up. But Owens ain't going to beat Roman. And that's the big thing about it, is this is all, it's not that like Owens is being beaten to powder. He is, still coming back and staying strong, but Reigns has to retain till Mania and face somebody. Do not have him face Jey Uso. Nothing against Jey Uso, but he is not main event material. Anyway, we then get our first match. And the first match has Baron Corbin. So already we are not off to a great start. I want to make it clear right now. I don't hate Baron Corbin as a person. He is a very good worker. Actually, he is. He's a very safe worker. He is crisp in the ring. He doesn't hurt people, and that's great. People apparently love working with him, and that's fine. The thing is, he's fucking bland. And this whole thing of Knights of the Lone Wolf, which if you're a lone wolf, you don't need knights. That's not how things work. Cutler and Blake are with him. And he takes on Big E, and he has a Brody armband. And I like that WWE wrestlers have been, and I'm going to call them wrestlers. I know they're superstars, but I'm going to call them wrestlers because they're wrestlers in a fucking wrestling ring. But anyway, various people doing their, own Brody tributes, and that's fucking good. Big E's tribute, thread tribute, and a bunch of stuff he said about Brody is fucking beautiful. Like, really it is. You can tell how much he meant to him. Sammy joins commentary, even says he's employing Michael Moore to, reveal the vast conspiracy against him. I don't know why Michael Moore's name being dropped in 2021 amused me, but it did. And the trophies were being brought up. The Sammy Awards is like, oh, they're not soup cans. They were hand sculpted in Brazil. He's trying to be like Owen Hart. He's only about half as entertaining as Owen Hart, but I will say that Sammy is making the most of this heel role, because Owen Hart was one of a kind. Anyway, we get a big ending, and then Sammy runs in for a DQ, and then the Knights of the Lone Wolf, again, not how things work. They come in, and then Apollo comes down and helps Big E. And then we have a tag match. It's Sammy and Corbin with the Knights of the Lone Wolf, which I just roll my eyes at, versus Big E and Apollo. It was fine. Miscommunication with Sammy and Corbin and his Knights of the Lone Wolf, which it just sounds so stupid I almost have to make it a running gag. They leave, and then spin powerbomb from Apollo pins Sammy. 1, 2, 3. So there we go. Owens then he asks him something. No, I'm sorry. I watched too much Stevie Ray on commentary on WCW 2000 and 2001. Owens asks Adam Pearce if he will make the J match official. And apparently they're implying that Pearce is in the pocket of Roman Reigns, or because he's the tribal chief, he calls the shots, even though I guess Pearce is a de facto GM. I don't understand what they're doing here. And then he says, what happened to the Adam Pearce that I went to war with 15 years ago in Ring of Honor? Which I've seen a bit of. I haven't seen a lot of it. Apparently they really did have a good blood feud. And he gives Owens the match anyway. But then I guess maybe there's going to be repercussions. Who knows? Kayla gets in between Big E and Apollo. Draw your own conclusions from there. And it's going to be an open challenge from Big E, and Apollo immediately accepts. We're going to get a possible tweener or heel Apollo. I like it because I think Apollo actually can make this work. Because Apollo is really good. I'll just say this right now. One thing I'm going to do for every single review, as much as I can, and shout out to I'm Valena if you happen to be watching this, is I'm going to, instead of doing a list of underutilized talents that deserve better in this year, and that would be a pretty fun list, I'm going to come up with an underutilized talent on every single review that I think deserves better. And it could be the same one for a few weeks until they're used better, or a different one, depending on the promotion. It's going to be WWE, AEW, don't know necessarily about New Japan, may do that. But anyway, Apollo is an underutilized talent that deserves a whole lot better, and I hope this feud with Big E, even if it's, just a one-off at first and then we get a heel Apollo, if it turns into a feud, please let Apollo, get more out of this, because Apollo really can be a big player. He can probably only be a mid-card champion, but he's better than he's been, than the stuff he's been given lately. Anyway, we then get Ruby and Liv versus Natty and Tamina, because Billy apparently is just playing both sides now. She picked Natty and Tamina after picking Natty and then Tamina to be her teammates and losing to the Riot Squad, the two good members of the Riot Squad, because Sarah Logan, for her goddamn opinions, I wish nothing but the best for her and her kid and her husband, but she can go the fuck away and never come back to wrestling, I'll say that much. But, yeah, Snuka with 4 other women, what could possibly go wrong? Everything, Bubsy, everything. And Tamina has the potential to be a game changer. Are you sure about that, Cole? Are you sure about that? She spent more time on the bench than Rey Mysterio did between 2006 and 2014, and that was a lot of downtime. She whiffs a super kick, by the way. Dreaded roll-up from Liv pins Tamina. Hi, Catwoman 13. Dreaded roll-up. Hi. And then Billy celebrates with the Riot Squad. First, she was in the corner of Natty and Tamina, and then she was in the corner of the Riot Squad trying to offer encouragement. And I love Billy. I don't know what the fuck they're doing here. She's also underutilized. There we go. A man, a woman, every single show. Apollo and Billy. Billy deserves a whole lot better. We need to see Billy as SmackDown Women's Champion in 2021. Possibly in the summer or late fall, but at some point. Anyway, we then get Sasha and Bianca versus Carmella and Bayley. The Women's SmackDown Women's Champion, according to the ring announcer. Best English. And, yeah, when Carmella comes out, I feel a certain kind of way. Graves' commentary during Carmella's matches turns me off from ever having sex again. They can be however they want, and I hope they're happy together. Graves with his homewrecker of a girlfriend, leaving his goddamn kids and all that shit in the lurch, even though he's probably paying alimony. His poor goddamn wife, who, ex-wife now, who stuck by him when his little brain hurt Whittle too much and he couldn't wrestle anymore. And I know about concussions, but Graves deserves every bit of criticism that he fucking gets. Marriages dissolve, but he was a fucking piece of shit. And Carmella's a fucking homewrecker for it. And also, why does she look like the, stunt double for the Final Destination 3 tanning booth girls? Yes, I know I've made that comparison before, but seriously, it's fucking weird. If you're a man or a woman, you don't look human. Maybe you shouldn't do the overtane, do this stuff. I don't fucking get it. Anyway, the match is okay. We get a melee. We get Reginald doing flippy shit. I mean, if this guy can do this kind of stuff, fuck, team him and Leon Ruff up in NXT. They could actually be something. Terrible X Factor variation to Sasha 1-2-3. Reigns is upset about Jay and the Jay Owens match later. Sonya's back. Good for her. In all seriousness, good for her. I hope she's refreshed. I hope that, they can bring her back into the fold. I think almost moving her to Raw might be better. I would like to see her do some more stuff. Maybe her beat Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship as opposed to Charlotte. But anyway, we get the Street Profits doing one of the worst segments that I've seen this year. I might actually just make a list of bad segments, because the Street Profits can be entertaining. I emphasize can be, but not to a lot of people. Only to certain people, you people, I don't know. They aren't very entertaining here because they were doing bad comedy. Whoever scripted this, and if they didn't script this, they should have scripted it. It was really bad. They had a drum set for their own rim shots because nobody was fucking laughing, and they do terrible comedy, and Ziggler interrupts a terrible comedy sketch that wasn't his own. Oh, him and Rude do that, and they won a tag title shot. That was basically this. This was about 10 minutes of our life that we'll never fucking get back. And they called themselves the Dirty Dogs, Rude and Ziggler. Gross. Anyway, Bryan and Otis with Gable versus Cesaro and Nakamura. Remember when Nakamura felt special? And remember when Nakamura and Bryan seemed like a great, match on paper? Too bad it's going to be fuck and all right now. Also, quick question before they started this match. Why did they show footage of Daniel Bryan trying to suplex Otis but doing a lot of grunting and it looked like dry humping, not seen since the Giant and the Yeti with Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc 1995. I know you want more edgy content, but fucking hell, the last thing I want to see is a vegan trying to relentlessly pound a man who loves to slap his meat. So, this was really bad. And Cole, by the way, is explaining what the Royal Rumble rules are. Michael Cole is an abomination to commentary, an abomination to wrestling. I know that he's probably a nice guy. Great. Good. He can go be a nice guy somewhere else, at least as a producer. He's fucking terrible at his job. Anyway, Bryan and Nakamura, look, they had a bit of a, brief interaction, then we get the little bell lock, the yes lock, and we get the tap out. Reigns to Jay. Don't let him show us up. Show him, what happens if people show us up. Something like that. Owens and Jay. Instant fisting action. It doesn't last very long before it breaks out into a post-match melee. And then Owens cuffs Jay, familiar territory. I actually tuned out of a lot of this because I've seen this enough, so I'm sorry if there were fine details I fucking missed. I just didn't care. Owens cuffs Jay, and, so of course, he takes him there. He's going to, take him to the stage. He's going to take him backstage and find Roman Reigns because he's going to say, look, it's a new year and an Uso is still in cuffs. Or maybe that's just what I would say. But Reigns attacks Owens near the entrance, which feels so staged to me. Yes, that was an intentional pun to lighten this up. And then we get a chair beat down while Jay still has the cuffs on. And then we get, hit into the LED screens and a table bump and scene. I'm going to say right now that I understand they're making the best of the situation. I don't even fault the talents, well, most of them. But if this is what they're going to do with wrestling, and AEW has their own issues as well that I'll talk about as the months go on, yeah, there's going to be some issues here. Now, it's not the worst in the world. I'm glad we're getting wrestling. I'm glad the wrestlers are getting paid, but this is a very lazy show. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charm Ritlin. I'll see you soon.